Good evening, race fans. This is Rob from the Area 51 Racing Podcast, coming to you live with episode 96. Tonight, I'll be giving you my race recap for the Xfinity and Cup Series races at Daytona International Speedway this past weekend, along with my hot take from racing this week. It's going to be a short show tonight. Not feeling great. I have a GI procedure in the morning, and I've had to drink liquids for the past almost 36 hours. So not feeling the hottest at all right now, but um, needed to get this done because I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow. And plus, we have our episode 97 tomorrow night with Jeremy Clements' best friend, Chris McSwain. Chris is also a part-time spotter for Jeremy Clements Racing at road courses. So to get into it, this past weekend's race, Xfinity Series race, there's two races left in the regular season for the Xfinity Series. This past weekend, they raced at Daytona International Speedway. The qualification was canceled due to thunderstorms, lightning in the area. So the field was set up by the metric from the previous race results from the Watkins Glen race, I believe it was. So Jeremy ended up starting the race P16. The pole winner was Connor Zilisch, the driver number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevy. Zilisch, during his celebration of his win at Watkins Glen, ended up falling off the side of his car when he slipped on his window net and fell and broke his collarbone. He had surgery, had screws and plates put in his shoulder, so he is going to start he started the race, and then at the first caution on lap 12, he changed out with his relief driver, Parker Kligerman, who ended up finishing the race and ultimately winning the race. So the race for Jeremy Clements, stage one, the car was very darty, he said. They adjusted the right front toe out a little bit to try to fix that at the end of this stage one pit stop cycle. Stage one, he finished P28. Stage two, finished P15. During that stage, he had the fastest lap of the race on lap 43. At the end of the stage, Jeremy said the toe change didn't help. I just needed to turn left more. He said the car's fast. I just don't feel comfortable in the pack. So they did more adjustments, worked on the car more. They didn't change the toe because the case and team didn't know if that was going to make a difference or not, or make the car even worse. So they left that alone, did some adjustments with wedge and with the track bar and stuff to get the car handling a little bit better. Stage three, everything was going good. Jeremy was riding around towards the back, biding his time. And unfortunately, he ended up on lap 88 of 100. The number 54 car, driven by Taylor Gray, ended up getting a right or left rear tire that became flat, causing his car to shoot up the track into the wall and then shot back down the track. And unfortunately, Jeremy tried to avoid it and was as low as he possibly could be on the track, and ultimately ended up colliding with Gray's car, causing major damage to the front end of Jeremy's car. It was a hard hit, and ended up they had to go to the garage because the right front lower control arm was bent, and there was no way they were going to be able to finish the race and meet speed. So ultimately, he ended up finishing the race P36, 15 laps down. Um, he currently is P20 in the driver's point standings. He also, unfortunately, in stage three, ended up losing the fastest lap of the race on lap 73 to Eric Almirola, driver of the number 19 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. So he lost that extra bonus point, unfortunately. Um, the Xfinity race was decent. Um, ended up being a battle at the end. With four to go, the number 39 car of Ryan Sieg was turned by the number 70 car of Leland Honeyman, which caused a huge wreck. The big one, I guess you could say, involved 11 cars. As a result, that race went into overtime, green white checker. The restart, Kligerman was able to get to the lead and ultimately ended up winning the race. Um, as a fill-in driver, it shows the winner is actually Connor Zilich, who started the race. However, um, Kligerman was the driver that actually finished the race and got the win. So it was a junior motorsports dominated race. They had the top three positions on the podium. P1 was Parker Kligerman slash Connor Zilich. P2 was Sammy Smith, the number 8 car, and P3 was Justin Allgaier in the number 7 car, all junior motorsports Chevy cars. So they had a great race. The next Xfinity Series race is a standalone race at Portland International Raceway on Saturday. The race is on the CW at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is a road course race. Usually ends up raining. Just that's the way the environment and climate is up in Portland, Oregon area. Unfortunately, hopefully it doesn't rain, but it seems like every year it does. Hopefully, turns out to be a good race, as this is the last year, if I remember correctly, for them, the Xfinity Series racing at Portland. The Cup Series race was a good race as well. I watched parts of the race. I basically watched the end of it. It ended up being a 4 wide finish, and Ryan Blaney in the number 12 Penske car ended up winning the race. P2 was Daniel Suarez in the number 99 Trackhouse Racing Chevy. And then P3 was Justin Haley in the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevy. It was good to see drivers like Haley, Cole Custer in the 41 Haas factory team, Ford, running up in the front. Also, Carson Ware, the driver in number 51 Rick River Racing Chevy, led several laps in the first stage of the race. I think it was the first stage, maybe it was the second stage, but he led the most laps he's ever led in his career in racing, and he ended up starting the race. I think it was P35, and he had finished P20. He had a great race. So it was good to see drivers that usually aren't up at the front or in the top 20 to do good. I mean, Justin Haley is a really good plate racer at super speedways, so that didn't really surprise me. Haley, I thought, was going to win the race, but ultimately he ended up going up to block Cole Custer, who had the momentum in the top lane, which allowed Blaney to go below Haley to get the lead and ultimately get the win. So the Cup Series next races at Darlington Raceway on Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on the USA Network. One of the interesting things, like I talked about on the last podcast I did about this current point system. So Alex Bowman was P9 in driver's points. He ended up getting in an early wreck in this race. He got taken out, nothing of his doing, and he had to wait to see if there was going to be a new winner, and if there was, he was not going to be able. He was not going to be in the playoffs. However, since Blaney won, he was able to be locked into the playoffs as the final car in, um, which is a good thing because Bowman's been consistent throughout the year and being P9 in the points and not being in top 16 in the playoff drivers standings. It just makes no sense. But either way, after the race, Bowman said he owes Ryan Blaney, I think it was like 10 million beers or 7 million beers or something goofy like that. It was pretty funny. But either way, if Custer, Haley, or somebody else would have won that hadn't already been in points in the playoff standings or had previously won a race and been locked in, Bowman would have been out. So looking forward to this weekend's races. The Truck Series returns at Darlington. They're going to be racing there on, I think it's Saturday at 11 a.m. The race is on Central Standard Time. The race is on FS1. Bummed that the Xfinity Series is not going back to Darlington for 2 races. Darlington is one of my favorite tracks, just because of the history there. It's the 75th anniversary of the track. It's the Southern 500, the throwbacks, the history and the drivers that have raced there. It's just a cool track, and it's a unique track because each corner on each end of the track is different. So it's called the Lady in Black for a reason. It's a tricky track and a hard track to drive, and but it's on my bucket list to someday go and watch a race there. So hopefully make that happen someday here soon. But that's my race recap for this week for the Cup and Xfinity Series. My hot take this week, I only have one that I'm going to go over again. Like I said, I'm not feeling the greatest, and I know it's already late. I mean, so the biggest thing, awesome news. I don't know. It was maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Ram announced that they were going to return to the Truck Series as racing. Racing. I mean, they've been out of this NASCAR for a long time. I was bummed when they left. I'm a huge Dodge Mopar fan, especially old school classic Mopars, such as this 1969 and a half 812 Super B. It's an actual model I built, but my buddy actually owns actual one in Sassy Grass Green, Survivor. Freaking love the cars, the old Mopar muscle cars. But been a Dodge fan my entire life, but I'm also a Chevy fan. Ford, not so much. So, but either way, so Dodge, Stellantis, I guess, is the parent company now that bought Dodge and Chrysler out. They made an announcement this past weekend down at a dealership in Florida with Chris Rice, the president of Kaulig Racing, and Justin Marks, not Justin Marks, Matt Kaulig, the owner of Kaulig Racing. And they announced that Kaulig Racing is going to field 5 Ram truck teams in 2026. in the Truck Series, all sponsored by Ram, Dodge / Stellantis. So several journalists that were there at the press conference asked how that's going to work with the OEMs being different with their Xfinity program and Cup program. They run Chevys, and now they're having a Dodge OEM for a Truck Series. So Chris Rice, during his interview, said to maintain the integrity, to keep everything private between the two OEMs, they're going to build a firewall between the Ram shop for the Truck Series and keep everything separate. And then keep everything separate for their Chevy Cup and Xfinity Series teams. One of the journalists did ask Chris Rice if he was, or they were, as a Kaulig racing team, we're going to field Dodge late model cars like that race in the Cars Tour as a feeder series to their Truck and Xfinity Cup program. Chris Rice said that as much as he loves late model racing, there's no way that they're going to be able to do that because of the amount of resources and time that they have invested now with the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup programs. He said that there could be a possibility that they would partner up with a existing team that races in like the Cars Tour or whatever series down south to be a driver development program for them. So I'm excited. I have a feeling, and I could be wrong because Kaulig has been with Chevy since their existence, and they have a good relationship with them based on what Matt Kaulig and Chris Rice have said. But there's rumor that in 2027, Dodge is going to return to the Cup Series, and I'm assuming probably the Xfinity Series too. I could be wrong, but maybe see them switch over to Dodge. Who knows? They did not announce who the drivers are, but 5 truck team, that's a lot. That's a lot of new employees, resources, equipment. That's one hell of a major commitment to be made by Kaulig, and obviously they're all in with the full support of Ram, or this wouldn't have been announced or done. But it'll be interesting to see who they have as drivers. There's potential for 5 new drivers to be brought up to be full-time in the Truck Series. Brendan Butterbean Queen, I could see him possibly being one. LeVar Scott, maybe. Good young driver, and both of them are good young drivers in the ARCA Series. I'm trying to think of who else, that's a younger driver that is in the lower, like ARCA or the Cars Tour, that has been doing really well, that they could move up to the Truck Series. Maybe it opens a spot for Daniel Suarez if he doesn't get another ride in Cup or Xfinity. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see who they put in these trucks and how 2026 goes for them as a team. And I believe it was Bill Davis Racing was the last race team that had 2 different OEMs and things didn't go well. And Chris Rice was asked about this by one of the journalists, and he said, we're going to make sure we learn from what happened at Bill Davis Racing with that situation and make sure it doesn't happen, and keep everything separate. We have that information, he said that we have that information of what happened there. And he said he actually was part of that, so he knows firsthand that what not to do and what to do. So it's exciting time in racing. NASCAR, a new OEM. I know I covered last week, President of NASCAR, Steve O'Donnell, had mentioned, he was talking about on Eric Estep's podcast called Out of the Groove, that one of the reasons why they weren't going to go to 1,000 horsepower engines is because it would scare off other OEM, such as, I'm assuming, like Honda, Nissan, and other foreign produced OEMs, because they aren't able to make engines with that size amount of horsepower without using turbochargers. And I don't know how that would work. I know obviously IndyCar makes it work, and F1, I believe, as well, but they're not 1,000 horsepower engines by any means. And that was just an example. So that's the reason why he said they were trying to keep the horsepower amounts lower to not scare off those OEM manufacturers from interest of coming into the sport of NASCAR. So, but on that note, I'm going to wrap this up and get to bed. It's going to be a long night, unfortunately, and a long day tomorrow. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. This is crazy, episode 96, 4 more episodes until we're down in North Carolina and South Carolina doing our live 100th episode. Bobby, Dave, and I greatly appreciate all the support from our sponsors, partners, listeners, viewers, subscribers. Without any of you, we're not able to do this. So I'd like to thank our partners who make this podcast possible: Spartan Waste, Fox Sports Spartanburg, Harrison's, Action RV, Kylie Glick Racing, Mattman Designs, The Runner's Roost, Alliance Driveway Solutions, Anna Moore Designs, Circle B Diecast, Driven Sunglasses, and Driven Trackside, Elite Towing and Recovery, High Speed Auto, The Racing Warehouse, and Armadillo Apparel, Belcher Cheesecake Creations, Flanform Concrete Structures, First Pacific Funding, Gale Beard Products, Wins Etc., Dialed In Focus Pouches by Whitetail Smokeless, Benzik Designs, Schanzenbach Landscaping, Enigma Tattoo Studio, Aero Parts Group, Overwear Apparel Group LLC, SBJR Designs, HJS Henderson Jet Services, Halsey Systems LLC, Ava Hansen Racing, and Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing. Again, without all our partners, sponsors, viewers, listeners, subscribers, Bobby, Dave, and I are not able to do this. We greatly appreciate. Thank you for all the support. Tomorrow night, like I said earlier, Jeremy Clements' best friend, Chris McSwain, and part-time road course spotter for Jeremy Clements Racing is the guest on episode 97. Tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, for the live show. It'd be episode 97. This show was brought to you by Gale Beard Products. Check them out. And on that note, everybody have a good evening. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow night.